News, and experts blame high interest rates.
The latest numbers on pending home sales of previously owned homes show they sagged far more than expected, dropping for a sixth consecutive month, down 4% in November to their lowest level since April of 2020. Year over year, pending home sales dropped 37.8%.
Fox's Lillian Wu. More cancellations for Southwest Airlines. Fox's Mike Tobin's at Chicago's Midway Airport.
2,700 flights roughly have been canceled nationwide. 90% are Southwest. Industry analysts say some of this big meltdown is just bad luck. The storm hit where Southwest flies. Some of it is because they have this point-to-point model instead of operating in hubs like the other major airlines do. Once a storm hit, you ended up with staff and airplanes that were out of position.
Out-of-date systems are also being blamed. Russia rejects any peace negotiations that don't involve Ukraine giving up territory.
Ukraine says just in the past 24 hours, Russia has launched 33 rockets, all at civilian targets. One of those targets was the maternity ward of a hospital in Kherson. Nobody was hurt in this strike. Russia is rejecting President Zelensky's 10-point peace plan, saying it denies the reality that 4 regions in Ukraine are now a part of Russia.
Fox's Nate Foy in Kyiv. 7 people received non-life-threatening injuries during the landing of a Grand Canyon tour helicopter at a Las Vegas area airport. Some officials are calling it a hard landing. Others say it was a crash. And stocks ended the day lower. The Dow 30 fell 366 points, the S&P 500 down 46, and the Nasdaq slid 140 points. America is listening to Fox News.
The new year is here. Time for a change. Start a recession-resistant new career in the high-demand IT field with My Computer Career. In just months. Already in IT? Build your cybersecurity skills and prep for thousands of open positions employers nationwide are desperate to fill. Attend classes live online or on campus. And financial aid is available to those who qualify, including the GI Bill. Make this your year. Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation today. That's mycomputercareer.edu.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, beat the largest timeshare company in federal court and has put together a free information guide that reveals the secrets the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid of your timeshare. Call now and get this timeshare cancellation guide absolutely free.
Call 800-857-5656. That's 800-857-5656.
The man accused of attacking House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's husband is back in court.
Today's arraignment comes exactly 2 months after Paul Pelosi was viciously attacked inside his San Francisco home. 42-year-old David DePape was held to answer to felony charges, including attempted murder, assault with a deadly weapon, burglary, elder abuse, and threats to a public official. His lawyer entered a plea of not guilty. The only time DePape spoke was when the judge asked him if he agreed to waive his right to a speedy trial, and he answered yes. In a parallel case, DePape also faces federal criminal charges, but the state's case is expected to go first, and everyone is back in court on February 23rd to set a trial date. In San Francisco, Claudia Cowan, Fox News.
The Tampa Police Department has fired an officer who was videotaped dragging a handcuffed woman from a patrol car to a jail entrance. Authorities say that an internal investigation determined former officer Gregory Damon had violated department policies. The United Nations Security Council is condemning Taliban restrictions on the lives of women and girls in Afghanistan.
Afghanistan is in an economic and humanitarian crisis, and recent Taliban rulings threaten to make things even worse. At least 5 charities and agencies have stopped operating because of a Taliban ban on women working for them, and females are now no longer allowed to go to university. The 15-member UN Security Council says it's deeply alarmed. Secretary General Antonio Guterres adding the restrictions must be revoked. Taliban promises of a less hardline regime than they ran in the 90s have been steadily cast aside. Jonathan Savage, Fox News.
New Orleans music legend Walter Wolfman Washington, a cornerstone of the city's musical nightlife for decades, has died of cancer. He was 79. I'm Joe G. Fox News.
It's showtime.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Can I please have your attention? I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
Pipes is writing down a lot of stuff. I'm just going to go from the gut. And joining us now, Coach Bielema, Josh Whitman joining us now.
You get to say all the cool name drops.
Do it.
Brad Underwood, our guest.
College hoops.
How do you lose to Jackson State?
Call up every single person in the media that didn't put Kofi first team All-American. And I don't know, just play like clown noises.
I want to bet the Bears.
Oh, Michael Porter Jr. has been good, but he thinks the earth is flat, so I can't pick him.
Oh, boy.
Throw it up to Kofi, and he's just going to tear the rim off.
How is he so good? All right, Hans, I'm going to mute you for a while.
Okay.
Oh, there's a timeout on the court!
So what we want to do is build a same-game parlay that will win all of us some money.
Maybe Rondale Moore could beat Cooper Kupp, but he's not. Is it Instagram?
Yeah.
Is that what IG means?
I think you have to win the Big Ten title to win Big Ten Player of the Year.
Woohoo!
Wow, what a bad take.
Hey, I forgot how to turn the microphone on. Good morning! Hi, Derek.
We're back.
We are back. I never, I didn't. I got to do this. I don't get in a rhythm without a little music. So here we go. A little music to get us rolling along. It is The Drive with Tay and Piper. Tay, Derek Piper. We were off Friday. We were off Monday. We were off yesterday. I was getting texts yesterday from friends saying, well, "Are you going to work again? Or are you?" I told Diane today, Derek Piper, that Diane and Stevie are taking the week off right now. They're kind of chilling for the week. They usually do that between Christmas and New Year's, so they just kind of relax. And I told Diane today that I couldn't do that. If I took 5 days off this show, I wouldn't come back because I would get so used to having a afternoon off. Like yesterday, had to take Andrew to practice. Lucas and I went to Pia's, had a cold beer, and then we had our Big Ten fantasy draft last night, as you know. But I was just like, man, this is what life's like when I don't work from 4 to 6. Like, I kind of like getting out of the office at 4 and being done. But more importantly, how was the Cade man's Christmas?
It was great. His first Christmas, got tons of toys, so much that he didn't want to go to sleep last night. At least that was part of it. We were trying to rock him and get him down, and he's like, no, take me out into the living room, set him on the floor. Like, surely you're tired enough that you're ready to go to sleep. Right. He just crawls up to his toys, playing with one, then goes to the other, and he made out like a bandit. And it was really cool to experience that for the first time. Him, the grandparents, the whole deal.
I bet.
Santa, I don't think he noticed that Santa's presents came early. Like, they were under the tree on the 23rd. And
okay.
He just made a quick stop to
Santa
our house
doing
first.
Some work, yeah.
In case anyone out there is wondering what the heck's going on there. I don't want to spoil anything, but it was awesome. It was great, and to spend some time with the family after getting back from Missouri and fighting that weather that we dealt with. As you know, I was down there and decided to make the trek and made it back safe and sound and enjoyed some days with the fam for sure.
I want to get to that, the negative that will be when we talk Illinois basketball. But real quick, back to Cade. I've always wondered, like, if kids, when they have their first, and probably, let's take it more like the third or fourth Christmas, when they're really starting to understand what's going on. I've always wondered why they don't sit there going, why don't we do this every week? Like, why don't we have gifts every week for me to open? Like, why are we doing this one time a year? And I guess birthdays maybe. But yeah, wouldn't you as a kid, you'd be like, well, why are we only doing this once? Well, it's kind of expensive, and Santa can, they got to make a lot of toys to get around the world. So, those elves they got to use the rest of the days to work. That's the way I think I approached it.
So you were prepared for the explanation.
Yes, I was. I think Lucas or Andrew, one of them asked me that one time. Like, why can't we do this more often? And I'm like, well,
why is Santa's visa only good one day a year to go around the world?
Those elves are busting it, man, the rest of the time. So it's not easy, man. They just can't be churning gifts out every week. Lon's wallet would be in bad shape. It already is. So I don't know. I'm not sure that I could afford doing that. All right. So you did risk it to get down to the bragging rights game. I know a lot of people around this area did the same thing. And, somebody asked me, are you going to be tough on Illinois? And I'm like, well, yeah, they played like crap. They look like crap. Mm-hmm. They look like a team that doesn't deserve to be in the NCAA tournament right now. They look like a team that may not win more than 5 Big Ten basketball games right now. Keep in mind they're 0-2. I don't know what the hell is going on that you can go out and look so good against UCLA and you can look so good against Texas, and then you can play an absolute worst game. That's one of the worst Illinois games I've seen maybe in my life, considering what this team is about and how athletic and talented they are. I mean, I saw worse games when Bruce Weber was having his bad times and John Gross was doing his thing, maybe. But the fact that this team is that talented, this good, has proven already what they can do. To play like that is a joke. That's embarrassing. And every one of them should be embarrassed. Brad Underwood at the start. Because I'm getting to the point now where I'm like, and he talks about it. We're going to play a lot of this. But there's times where I'm like, what are we doing? Like, you're the coach of this team. If we're just going to stand outside and throw the ball around and then shoot a 3 from 38 feet, what the hell coaching is that? Give me $3 million. I can go tell them hey, guys, I want everybody, you stand right here, you're right there, and you're on the baseline. Now pass it to him, now shoot. And I know he breaks it down more about the offense. You ask him a good question. I know it's not that simple. Again, I didn't coach at that level, but I've coached before. So I understand that a lot of times it's not that simple. But there are just too many times where I'm like, what are we doing? Are we adjusting? Can we do this? Can we press one time? Could we show a zone one time? I know a lot of people have complained about that. I'm just getting this out of the way, and then I'm going to let you go. But I'm just tired. I look at this team as so disjointed. The most awkward thing I think I've watched in a long time was Terrence Shannon sitting at the same table as Matthew Meyer, and Matthew Meyer going on some rant about, well, I didn't like the way coach was practicing. Well, shut up. You're getting paid a lot of money. I never used to rip on the kids. But now that they're basically they're paid to play. So now I feel like it's go ahead and rip on them. And then, Meyer's sitting there talking about, well, I didn't like the way this coach coached. What, are you in junior high talking to your dad after practice? Like, well, I don't like the way Mr. Tay's coaching. Well, I don't either. What are we doing? And then they asked Terrence Shannon, and Terrence Shannon's sitting there like, I didn't say that. And then Shannon, you guys are just absolutely hammering him, which you should, on questions about adversity and toughness and playing together and why did you play so well here and you didn't here, and then what he answers with scared the hell out of me, which we'll play in a minute. Look, this team has plenty of time. They have plenty of talent to absolutely reverse this and go on a run in the Big Ten and do well, and hell, they might even win the Big Ten and get into the NCAA tournament. But when I see quality of play like I saw against Missouri and Penn State, it makes me think we might not win a game in an NCAA tournament, let alone get to a Sweet 16 or a Final Four. So there.
How do I follow that up?
Somebody asked if I was going to rip on Illinois. There. Man. They sucked against Missouri, and that is embarrassing.
Yeah, it was. It was embarrassing. And relative to expectations, that was the ugliest and most disappointing loss that Illinois has taken under Brad Underwood. Disappointing in terms of, like, you compare it to Loyola.
Yes.
A team that was expected to get second weekend of the NCAA tournament at least, chance to go to the Final Four, and they lay an egg early morning against Loyola in the second round. I get it. It wasn't more grand scheme of things in terms of impact, more disappointing. But just as far as you're down 35 points to a Missouri team in the second half, the largest loss ever in bragging rights, it was disgusting. It was gross. And there was no kind of response emotionally from this team, from anybody, from as far as leadership. And I think people, obviously, we went ha-ha and joked about it, the people who ripped me on Twitter after the...
Oh, yeah.
And I'm not going to make this about me. It's not about me. It's just that there have been weird vibes around this team from the moment of that...
You were spot on.
You had the Penn State game. Brad rips the leadership. You have the Alabama A&M game where they go 9 minutes without scoring, and just things seemed off. Matthew Meyer does his thing, and then it's like... Yeah, there's something really wrong here behind the scenes. No chemistry.
Yep.
As far as leadership, that's in question. And then they just came out against Missouri, and they just had no fight in them.
Nothing.
We can go through the the schematic part of it, which I think there's a lot to break down. Offensively, they're not running anything.
No.
Most times.
No.
Now, some of that's on Brad. Some of it's on the players just not settling for shots with 20 seconds on the shot clock and say, I'm just going to take this 3, and it mounts up. You're 1 for 12 from 3. You're 1 from 13. You're 1 for 14. Maybe we should stop shooting threes, even if some of these are open. But just the fact of beyond what you're supposed to be running, beyond what's on the whiteboard, beyond any of that, when Missouri's like going to miss a free throw, the guy who shot the free throw gets the rebound and puts up another shot and gets fouled. Some of the effort plays were just not – it was just terrible effort. And for a team that had the warning signs, I know we're going to play some of what Brad Underwood and Terrence Shannon said today. We'll do that on tomorrow's show. There was nothing really pressing. There was nothing any huge update or anything on that. But Terrence mentioned, the Missouri game was a wake-up call for us. And the counter would be, well, you lost by 15 on your home floor to Penn State.
Well, if that didn't wake you up.
You got within 1 point of one of the worst teams in all of Division I in the second half against Alabama A&M. The wake-up call should not have been Missouri. It should have already been ringing in your ears going into the bragging rights game, which I know there hadn't been very many people that had experienced that game on either roster.
Right.
But the fact of it's a rivalry game, it's a big game. You had some times, and that's the other thing. After Penn State, I know you had finals week, but you played essentially 2 games in a span of like a week and a half, 2 weeks, had some practice time. It looked like Illinois hadn't seen a practice court, hadn't been together in 2 weeks, and they just show up at Missouri, and there's no signs of progress, no signs of adjustments, no signs of this team coming together and saying, let's figure some of this out. And just as the game played out and as adversity continued to set in, I just hate the response. I hate the body language. I hate the fact that there aren't the veteran guys stepping up in huddles as far as what we can tell. It was alarming and jarring. Jeremy and I talked about it after the game. You come out of halftime, you're down, 27, 25?
I think.
Which the game's pretty much over by then.
I was pretty much knee-deep in my alcohol by then.
You had to be.
I'm kidding.
You had to be to get through it, unless you're on press row. You didn't really have the chance.
Right.
You're just knee-deep in Diet Cokes. The players had a huddle right before the start of the second half, and the 2 guys that said the most in that huddle will shock you if you didn't know or see it or saw the tweet. Brandon Lieb and Sincere Harris were the guys that were talking the most in that huddle. And it's like,
oh boy,
is there that much wrong? Is there that little chemistry? Is there that little of step up from the veteran guys? And like you said, and I'll echo it, it's still fairly early in the season.
Right.
Still 18 Big Ten games. Brad, for whatever reason, has been in a point of what the heck's going on with my team after bragging rights almost every year.
Every year you ask that, and we're going to play that.
And his teams have had great responses, and I've got some stats on that too for the bright side of things. But
everybody does finals.
Yeah,
I'm not telling you that.
I know.
It's not like, hey, Missouri doesn't have finals. Well, actually, North Carolina probably doesn't. Sorry.
Yes.
Sorry.
That was a good one.
But
give
otherwise,
yourself a point for that.
Yeah, I should. Let's get it rolling. But it's disgusting.
It is.
That is so weird about, look, kudos to Brandon Lieb and Sincere Harris, but that's weird. You know what this is to me? Like, if this is what the transfer portal is all about, I don't want anything to do with it. And the other thing is, I feel like you brought in a guy like Matthew Meyer, who's won a national championship, who comes in with a lot of accolades. You got Terrence Shannon, who has, he's from Chicago, he's back home, and he's coming in as a guy, maybe arguably the best transfer out there, right? And I almost feel like those 2 guys are scared of each other. Does that make sense? Like, it's in a dog park, and there's the 2 biggest dogs are out there, but they're terrified of each other. So one's in one corner, the other one's in the other one. Like, I feel like those 2 can't figure out who the leader is on this team. Like,
I don't think Matthew wants to be it.
I don't think he does. He looks like he could give 2 you-know-whats about this right now. Seriously, that's the way I look at it. When I watch him, I'm like, does he care about being out there? Does he give any kind of care about this? And I know that's a bad tunnel to go down. You should never judge someone's.
Right.
But just watching him in press conferences, and then, I don't know, sometimes I'm just like, he obviously cares about it. He's a competitor. He won a national title. The kid can go off now the rest of the year. and shut me up if he wants. But I don't know. There's just something off. And I feel like, you had Io, obviously. Trent Frazier, we give him enough credit. I think we always do. For being just a team leader. And a guy that just set the tone. And I feel like there's nobody on this team that sets the tone for anything. Now, what's scary is Brad said they had 5 great practices leading up to that game.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. I mean, you brought up the play about Missouri getting their rebound off the free throw. You know the one that did it for me? If you're playing against a zone and you have to, at the last second, have Sky Clark throw up a shot that doesn't even get to the free throw line from the three-point line because the clock's running out, what are we doing? I'm not pointing it directly at Sky, but you're playing against a zone. I mean, you can pretty much shoot anytime you want. And all of a sudden, oh, hey, we're down to 1 on the play clock, and you're 28 feet from the bucket. I mean, that's against a zone.
Yeah. Well, they can't sustain anything offensively.
Nothing.
It's maybe run a ball screen, maybe do one kind of action, then it's everybody watch a guy pound the rock on the perimeter. And like you said, or just swing the ball 25 feet away from the hoop, and then someone is ultimately going to have to take the shot. And that part of it's really frustrating. A big thing in terms of the offense not humming is Coleman's been terrible.
Oh, he's horrible.
It's hard to pinpoint one guy because there have been a lot of guys struggle. Sky has been had a really rough game in that one. Matt's a good shooter. Matt's got it going in terms of his own shot making, but outside of that, there is the question of what more is he going to give you. Terrence getting downhill needs to happen more frequently.
I agree.
But Coleman, knowing how much the ball is in his hands, how much he's supposed to be this facilitator, this connector, trigger man, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
He's been a walking turnover. He's been a loose cannon. It's almost to the point, it's not the same kind of like Globetrotters flash as Andre Curbelo, but as far as the feast or famine, the highs and lows, just why would you do that there? Or can you reel it back in when one mistake happens and you just seem like you're trying to almost try too hard on the next one? Curbelo was just so frustrating in that fashion. Now, Coleman, he's had 5 turnovers or more in almost half your games.
That's
5
weird.
of the 12 games, he's had 5 or more turnovers.
Wow.
And now, since hitting 5 threes in the opener against Eastern, I know we come back to this week after week after week. He's shooting like 15% from 3 since that game. Doesn't want to shoot. It's a weird hesitation for him. And it's not even like, let me shot fake on a 3 and drive it.
Right.
Let me shot fake and go make a play. It's like, let me shot fake, step back, hold it, or just step one more dribble and just not know what to do. And he got the ball ripped from him. And he's had a really hard time of letting some mistakes just completely derail him emotionally to where he's not able to stay locked in. He's not able to continue to give off positive energy. He's not able to be a leader from that standpoint. And he's a guy who's been in the program for 3 years. He was in those locker rooms with Trent and Io.
Right.
Well, we can talk about Terrence and Matt, not to say that they weren't around some good guys at Texas Tech and obviously Matt at Baylor when they win a national title, but he knows what it took for those teams that won Big Ten championships, that had leadership. He should be the guy in your locker room that is the holdover to be able to step up into that role, but his own individual issues are holding him back on that sense. But there are a number of different rabbit holes you can go down with this game and just kind of big picture where Illinois is at. One of them's like, and we could spend like 30 minutes on this, is Brad now sitting back and saying, I loved my veteran cohesion, guys that have been in the program before that, last year, the year before. Do I not hit the portal as hard going forward? Well, but the counter to that is if you don't get Matthew Meyer and Terrence Shannon, this isn't a reload year. This is a complete rebuild year. Can you imagine if your best players were Coleman Hawkins, RJ, and then a bunch of freshmen?
No.
This team wouldn't be going anywhere.
That's a great point. But I don't know. Something's weird.
The vibe is off.
You nailed it. I mean, Brad, look, we've watched Brad get mad before. And I'm talking like, I don't, first of all, I had somebody the other day just wearing me out about he yells too much. Who cares? Is that really bothering you? It's in the press conferences that when he was mad in that press conference, he was mad. And then, then he'll sometimes, get a little bit defensive or sarcastic, and I get that. Look, I've said it 100 times. I wouldn't want to leave this building at 6:00 tonight and have 14 Derek Pipers waiting out by my car to ask me about, hey, in that first segment you said 3 times. I wouldn't want to do that. And I'd probably get defensive and sarcastic and eventually just not even talk. So, I give him credit for that. And otherwise, I love Brad. He's great for the media. He's wonderful for the media. He's very good. You can understand him. He has, insightful thoughts, etc. But
personality.
He's got a personality, no doubt.
Well, and he's a good coach. Like, while you can be frustrated with what you're dealing with right now, and there are valid arguments to be made about adjustments and that whole kind of deal. It doesn't take away from the fact that he's won 2 Big Ten titles.
Right.
What he's brought this program back from, the fact of the responses after bragging rights. We'll have to see this team go through one, but you go back to 2020, 2021, they lost in Columbia to a team that was not better than you. Iowa had a big game, but nobody else. Illinois, after that, won 12 of the next 15.
Wow.
In 2019-20, they lost a dud there in St. Louis. Their offense was somehow, I was looking at the percentages and just the points per possession, which I know you're really big into, was somehow even worse in that game than it was in this one. Now, there were a lot of empty calories late in this one because they had about 40 points with 12 minutes to go, and they scored 30 more when the game was over.
Right.
So it boosted their offensive output. Long story short, after that game, they won 9 of their next 10.
Wow.
So that was a big turning point for the team as well. Maybe this one will be it.
Maybe Brad does this on purpose. Maybe that's how smart he is.
I don't know about that. But, offensively, I don't know. They must need more structure.
Yeah.
Because going in, and we talked about it, Coleman, the line that he gave at Big Ten Media Days was, we're going to run this structured randomness. We're just going to do this read and react, flow. And Brad even wanted to take the constraints of kind of this. If we're going to just run a bunch of set plays, it will make players not be able to freelance, to play with the skill, to play with the athleticism. It would make them feel like almost too tight, too robotic. Let these guys flow and play together. They'll make some mistakes.
Right.
But because we have 5 guys when Coleman's out there that can dribble, pass, and shoot, theoretically, let's just let that maturate, let that just kind of come together, and then as we go on, it'll be something that's really hard to guard, that can be almost unpredictable and just be spontaneous. To this point, it's not working. It's the structured part of it doesn't look structured. It doesn't look like they're trying to run anything. And then as far as the chemistry goes, in terms of the passing, the cutting, the synergy between the 5 guys on the court it's not there. So maybe Brad has to run more set plays, has to almost take more control of this and get rid of just the go out there and freelance part of it, because the freelancing isn't working.
Can I say this? I know I went off on Illinois, and I'm mad. I'm mad at this team, but it's more than that. I normally don't get that mad anymore. When I was younger, I got you wouldn't want to be around me for a day or two. As my dad used to always say, yeah, you know what? The sun's going to come up tomorrow. I'm like, thanks, Dad. If you say that one more time, that's the dumbest statement. Yes, we all know the sun is going to come up tomorrow. But I used to wear losses as a fan hard. And I don't really do that anymore. Unless it's Game 7 of the NHL Stanley Cup Finals or, something like that. So the magnitude, look, is it embarrassing to lose like you did? Yes. Is it embarrassing to lose to Missouri? Yes. Do you hate them? Yes. Do you never want to lose like that to them? All of that combined, though, the thing that worries, that's it. I'm mad because I'm worried. I'm worried about this team figuring this thing out. I truly am worried about that. And I think the writing on the wall for me is you're 0-2 in the Big Ten. And you'd love to have those 2 games back, wouldn't you? I had asked you when you went to New York, I'm like, okay, if you had to just win 1 game, would you rather beat Maryland or Texas? Now, the correct answer is Texas. But in my mind, there was just this doubt of, I think I'd almost rather start 1-0 in the Big Ten. But, you can't hide that huge win against Texas. Let's be honest. That's going to help you in the end more than a win against Maryland on the road. But it's just, I'm worried about this team. just what is happening right now is just it's like a weird collection of people that don't know each other, and they're trying to figure it out on the fly. And I don't know. I mean, maybe when you start playing twice a week in the Big Ten and, you're out there every day practicing then playing. Like, I almost feel like this team needs to play and not practice. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think this team has enough talent that they don't necessarily need practice. Now, that's not true for the freshmen.
You've been talking to Matthew Meyer?
Yeah, right. Well, right. Maybe, look, I'm going down his path. But I just feel like they need to just go out and play games. Get excited for the game and go play it. I don't know. Derek, I could have told you in the first 3 minutes of that game that Illinois was in trouble. I shut that game off with like 8 minutes left. And I wasn't even mad. Like, I was just like, wow. I mean, this is horrible. But now I just sit there and I get mad at it because I think to myself, like, I don't know. I'm worried that this team, man, I hope I'm wrong. I just am worried this team is going to finish 5th or 6th in the Big Ten. And maybe they should with all these freshmen and newcomers. And, I mean, maybe I'm the one. That's my issue maybe, thinking they should win a Big Ten title. I mean, here we talked about they got one of the easiest schedules in the Big Ten. Well, you're 0-2. And then, I don't know. I could see this team, I don't know, maybe they'll get that 7 seed in the NCAA tournament, and that's what I've always wanted, right? That's the thing I've always wanted. But, you've got the freshmen, and how important is it to have veteran guards, right? I mean, Let's be honest. And you called it, like, with going into that Penn State game, you called it with Jalen Pickett and what he can do. And that is an old team. That's one theme that has been around this entire season, is that every team we play, Illinois plays, unprofessional, every team they've played, not every, but I mean probably 60% of them, you hear Brad saying, and he's not lying, just how old they are.
Yes.
And maybe that's just a reflection of, I don't know. I mean, let me go down this list. I mean, Jaden Epps, has he been better than you thought he'd be right now?
A little bit.
I agree. I mean, he's done what you said. He's a bucket getter. He's had a couple of games. Sky Clark, has he been better than what you thought?
No.
Not at all. Ty Rodgers,
much worse than what I thought.
Much. Sincere, obviously better.
Yep.
Much better. Coleman? No. RJ Melendez. Now, that's my fault in my mind, thinking I was the one that, well, I'm sure others said it. Hell, last year I had him being Keegan Murray this year.
Keegan or Johnny Davis.
Yeah. I mean, that's an idiot move on my part. But there's no reason RJ Melendez, was he even there? Did he play in that game? Like, I literally didn't even see him. And obviously Luke Goody's not out there. Dane, like, all of a sudden he comes out of the gates. You're like, holy crap. And now I'm like, is he playing 10 minutes? Why isn't he playing more? I forget who. I don't even know who I'm missing. But, Shannon and Meyer. Meyer hasn't been anything close to what I wasn't expecting Matthew Meyer to come out and score 24 points a game and grab 10 rebounds. I wasn't expecting that. It's just kind of been a weird year for him. Like, he's real explosive one game, and then all of a sudden, And then Shannon, I swear, ever since he got hit in that Maryland game, ever since he was on that bench bleeding, he has not been the same.
No.
And we saw it last year with Curbelo. Now that you know, and please understand when I say this, I'm not coming off as someone that could care less if you have a concussion. I obviously care for the health of these kids. But last year was so confusing and weird because they wouldn't even really talk about it. And maybe they're not allowed. Maybe like HIPAA rules or whatever. They're not allowed to talk about stuff like that. But then when we kind of understood what was going on with Curbelo, then you're like, well, I don't know. I mean, Shannon has not been the same since he took that since he took the face-to-face, essentially, collision with, was that Julian Reese?
It was, yep.
So, I don't know. I mean, so I'm worried about him.
This is a guy that hit 8 threes against UCLA. In his last 5, he's 2 for 22 from the 3. And that's during the stretch of Maryland.
And there's like 5 air balls in there.
He had one against Missouri early on. The very first 3 possessions of them, that game was RJ shanked one high off the glass.
Oh, yeah,
it was not the Tim Duncan, 18-foot bank just for the perfect angle off of a, what do you even call that? What's the old
horse or what do you?
Protractor.
Oh. I don't think I ever learned how to use one of those.
That. Shannon airballed the second possession. Then Illinois had a shot clock violation. Those were their first 3 offensive possessions. RJ, I know Brad mentioned today, fighting his shoulder. Yeah. At first, it was kind of like, oh, it's not a big deal. It's just a bruise. Now it's obviously more of an issue for someone that shot the 3 a lot better than here of recent, but same goes for Shannon. And I even asked Terrence, did you get evaluated for a concussion? He said yes. He didn't expound on what that ultimately showed. How you feeling? He kind of downplayed, I feel better now. He hasn't been the same dude. This was someone that coming out of Vegas was getting elevated into the first round of NBA mock drafts.
Yeah.
And now since then he hasn't looked like that guy. And maybe I know it's the easy fan angle, but just to bring it up, like I know some people out there are saying when you have someone like Terrence, when you have someone like Matt, when you have someone like Coleman, who've had their names thrown around in NBA conversation, particularly 2 guys coming in for 1 year, show my stuff type of thing, maybe that's a problem of them thinking about that versus thinking about the cohesion, the team chemistry, the bonding that needs to happen. And I'm not saying that these guys' intentions are ill-placed. I wouldn't I want to speak on that and say that as fact.
No.
But there is something to the point of piecing this all together and it not clicking. So some of that is unsurprising in terms of like things to work on at this point in the season, even just chemistry standpoint. It's not all there. I think back to what you said about the Big Ten title chase or where you're going to shape up in terms of your regular season record, your seeding. This team's too inconsistent to be a number 1, 2, 3 seed. I think that unless they go on some crazy run and it all clicks together, which Brad's had those in the past, I just think this team will still ride the roller coaster for the most part. It's just whether or not your talent, by the time you get to March, you figured enough stuff out, and then your talent just shines. Like, I mean, look at North Carolina last year.
That's a great point.
North Carolina didn't have some great regular season. What were they? Were they an 8 seed?
Oh, UCLA. Weren't they in the play-in game?
UCLA was in the play-in game. But ultimately, I mean, you get hot at the right time.
Yep. And
you have enough talent that just goes out there and is able to beat the teams that were more consistent than you throughout the season. That's what you got to hope for.
Right.
I'm not trying to be like a downer on can this team still finish with a top 5 record in the Big Ten. I think they can.
Yeah.
People are out there listening, okay, so what we've learned so far through 2 months, Purdue is obviously the number 1 team in the Big Ten. Wisconsin, obviously the number 2 in the Big Ten. And after you say that, and maybe I'm just a dummy, that is each and every year questioning Wisconsin, and they just continue to do it. I am not willing to concede Wisconsin is definitely the second best team in the Big Ten.
No,
I'm sorry. I'm not going to sit there and say, oh, look at Penn State. They've kind of been feisty. Maybe they're a top 5, top 6 team. They're still going to have to prove it. I'm not counting out. It's easy for them to say Illinois, Indiana, injuries, There's still a lot of basketball left on that sense.
Amen. 2 quick points. You alluded a little bit to, maybe they've heard the talk about the drafting. And, we hear coaches sometimes say, well, maybe they're reading their own press clippings and all this. Well, I'll tell you this. This is the truth. I wasn't a very good athlete. I was good enough to play in whatever sport I played, but I wasn't ever, I didn't stand out by any means. So take my senior year of basketball. If I scored 16 one game, I couldn't wait to see that in the paper. Because I've always wondered about that statement, they must be reading their clippings. That fired me up. Like I would see that in the Wednesday paper that I scored 16 against Arcola, and I'm like, oh, man, I can't wait to face Tuscola Friday. Like, I'm on a roll. Like I'm telling myself. I don't buy the whole, I guess it could lead to selfishness, and that's something that I wasn't either. Because I just wasn't good enough. So maybe these guys that are good enough, maybe that is what they think about. The other thing is, when Illinois lost to Baylor the year that they won the national championship, you and I were doing the show. When they got smoked by Baylor. After that game, or coming off that game, in other words, when we did the radio show the next day, you know what we talked about? How good Baylor is. We didn't rip on Illinois. because I understood how good Baylor's. Well, hell, Missouri is not Baylor.
No.
And that, I think, is part of the reason that I'm frustrated. Penn State is not Baylor from that year.
Nope.
And that's the thing that I think frustrates me and worries me the most. When Baylor smoked a really good Illinois team, you and I both the next day were like, I think that team's going to win the national title. And they did.
Yep.
It's like, so in other words, if we would have gone out, here I go again, if Illinois would have gone out against Texas and been beaten like they were against Baylor, I would have been frustrated, but I would have been like, man, Texas is for real. Come on. Missouri, who's 11-1.
They almost lost by 40 at home to Kansas.
Right.
A team that you had a close scrimmage against and were supposed to be neck and neck, eye to eye with that team.
Man. We got to take a break. Okay, now we've done a lot of talking. We have a lot of Brad. He was frustrated as well. Terrence Shannon, I said early in the show, the response he gave about a question was just like, it was eye-opening to me. Like, ooh, I don't like to hear that. Tommy DeVito, we got a little sound from Tommy. He was in a underwear, like a muscle shirt kind of. What am I trying to say? Like a Hanes, not your regular T-shirt that has the sleeves. It was sleeveless. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but and then he had
like a tank top.
Yeah, like a tank top. Yeah,
yeah,
but it looked like a Hanes underwear or something. And then he had a sweet necklace that had TD on it. Tommy DeVito, baby. So we're going to hear a little bit from him. I happened upon a soundbite from Zach Arnett, who is the Mississippi State coach. And if you're an Illinois fan that was really frustrated with the officiating this year on a few of these games in football, you're going to love Zach Arnett. You're going to go into this bowl game going, I like that dude. Like, I want to hear this. So we're going to hear that as we go along as well. And then Brad Underwood was on the Rich Eisen show today, I think. Rich was not doing the show. Rich was playing bigwig and taking holidays off. I don't know who the dude was doing it, but Brett was talking about the NIL, and he kind of alluded to where Illinois.
Oh, Brett Bielema was on. You said Brad Underwood.
Oh, I'm sorry. My fault. Thank you for correcting me. Brett Bielema. I think he kind of alluded, like with the NIL, that maybe a couple of guys that we kind of thought might be leaving might be back for next year. So we got all that. So we'll get to a lot of the football stuff in the next hour. I haven't even opened up our text line. U of I Illini Lake text line. I don't know what people are saying about Illinois basketball. They probably don't even. I
could tell you.
Are they as concerned as I am?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I've watched enough sports in my life. I mean, shame on me to let one game essentially basically cloud my thought that this team could be good. This team could still be really good.
Definitely.
But I'll put it this way, I was as excited after the win against Texas as I am mad and disappointed and worried after the loss to Missouri. So I feel like I'm riding that, like Rich Herron used to say, don't get too high, don't get too low, gang. It's a long season. I'm riding it, man. I'm on I'm in the depths of the ocean and then way up in the sky. So I don't know.
I just hope they can climb out because
yes.
Bethune-Cookman's going to present no challenge. But then you're at Northwestern.
Oh, my goodness.
And that would be – they already beat Michigan State on the road.
Oh.
Good defensive team.
Hey, I had my fantasy draft last night, and I got the guy I wanted.
I liked it. I liked your pick.
I got Jalen Pickett, number 3 overall. Zach Edey went 1. Makes sense.
Who went 2? Was it Trace?
No.
Dickinson? Chris Murray?
I think it was Dickinson. In fact, Chris Murray dropped to like 7th. I told John, I'm like, dude, you're getting the steal of the draft right now. But yeah, so I took Pickett, and then of course you got to wait. There's 12 guys in the league, so I got a snake draft, right? So I'm waiting and waiting and waiting. All these guys, you're like, oh, he would be. I'll take him. And you're just crossing them off. So it gets back up to me, and I'm like, you know what? Malik Hall has played 4 games this year, and he's their best player. I know Joey Hauser's having a season for Michigan State, but Malik Hall's the guy. So I took Hall, and it was honestly between Hall and Meyer. And I was like, oh. So I take Hall. Well, the next guy takes Meyer. I'm like, crap. Well, then it comes right back to me almost. and I took Coleman Hawkins. And I said, you know what, Coleman, it's time to get rid of all the bad vibes. It's a new year. Come out kicking butt for me. I did want to take Luke Goody, so when he called the show, I could say, hey, I got you on my fantasy team this year. He'd be like, man, that's weird.
You claim him off of waivers?
Well, somebody drafted him.
Oh, there you go.
Maybe I can make a trade for him. But then let's see, to round out the team, I got Tony Perkins, who I really like for Iowa. Should lead him in assists and such. And then I took Miles Dredd. So I have 2 Penn State guys, which worries me. But with your 5th guy, if Dredd goes out, hits 3 threes.
Dredd's going to shoot threes.
That's 9 points, plus you get a point for every 3 over 2. So that's 12 points. I'll take that out of my 5th guy all the time. And then I was able to get Indiana as like the 6th team drafted. So I need injuries to not have. Like I need Indiana to get healthy. Oh, wait. Never mind. Hold on. Nah. But Malik Hall, I need to get healthy. And I need Coleman to get healthy up here to where he is ready to go because we see what he can do. I mean, he's leading the team in rebounding and assists, if anybody wondered. But obviously in turnovers as well, as you said.
True.
And the fact that he wouldn't even take an open shot, that was really weird and frustrating. All right, this was a really long break. We got it, or a segment. We're going to take a break. We've got a lot of sound to get through with Brad Underwood. And, again, Zach Arnett, Mississippi State coach, Tommy DeVito. They're down in Florida. They're down in Tampa. Looks like the weather is going to be perfect, Derek Piper. 75 or 76 on game day down there. 71 on Sunday, New Year's Day. So it just progressively gets warmer.
Well, as most of my beat was gone today for availability, I was thinking, who needs mid-70s, 80? We got 46 and sunny here in Champaign.
Pretty.
I mean, it almost seems too hot. No, I'm just kidding.
It was pretty.
But it was nice.
Did you see Joey Wagner when he talked about Chattanooga? Have you ever driven through Chattanooga?
I have.
My ears pop.
It's awful.
On those hills.
There's always so much congestion.
There's congestion. One year I drove through it. We were driving home from Florida. It had snowed and there was ice in Chattanooga. Now, they're not ready for that. And you're on those hills. So I was literally bare-knuckling the steering wheel going about 30. The guy in front of me starts spinning. The car starts spinning. It spun 3 times, and he ended up straight ahead like he kept going. And I'm just like, whoa, he didn't hit anybody, didn't touch any guardrail. And, those are some drop-offs.
Yeah, they are.
So I can't imagine. I'm assuming he hit the next gas station. Changed clothes. But he literally, it was like, hey, like I waved at him, and then he spun back around. I'm like, hey, I didn't. But, like, I saw his face 3 times spinning, and I'm like, holy crap, dude. And then it just, he comes straight up, going straight. I'm like, nice. I'm glad I saw it because I never would have believed it if I hadn't seen that. Can I tell you one other story? My dad caught 3 fish in 1 cast in Canada. True story. He caught a small little baby northern pike. A walleye then came along and hit the northern as he was reeling it within like 5 feet of the boat, and the water's really clear. So he's reeling in this northern. He knows he's got like a little one that he's just got to get rid of, and bam, a walleye hits it. And Dad's like, holy crap. He is about a foot from the boat, and a huge northern, I'm talking like 46-inch northern, bam, hits the walleye. And by the time he gets it in the boat, he had the little northern only, and it was cut in half.
Oh, my God.
And Dad was like, you did see that, right? I'm like, I saw it. 3 fish in 1 cast. But, of course, we only got the little guy in the boat, and he was done. His life ended very tragically. I'll put it that way. He's got a hook in the mouth and a walleye tearing up half his body. Oh, it was
tough
terrible.
Way to go.
Yeah, that is a bad. I mean, if you had to pick a way, that's pretty bad. All right, I don't know why I went into that. We got to catch a break. It is The Drive.
The new year is here. Time for a change. Start a recession-resistant new career in the high-demand IT field with My Computer Career. In just months. Already in IT? Build your cybersecurity skills and prep for thousands of open positions employers nationwide are desperate to fill. Attend classes live online or on campus. And financial aid is available to those who qualify, including
Hi,
the
this
GI
is Kirk
Bill.
Lehman with Aftershock Decals and Design. And right now we are looking for an honest, hardworking individual that wants a career with Aftershock Decals and Design. If you have any kind of experience wrapping vehicles, tinting windows, we want you.
You can't touch this.
No, not that kind of wrapper.
Can't touch this.
Please go to our website at aftershockdd.com. click on the Jobs tab and send in your resume. We want you. AftershockDD.com.
Now is a perfect time to start fresh. If you want to see a brighter you in 2022, stop by your local Merle Norman Cosmetics studio for a free express facial. This quick self-care service enhances your at-home skincare regimen and helps relieve stress. Treat yourself to some me time today. Express facials available at Merle Norman, 706 West Market View Drive in Champaign over by Subway. Free express facials based on schedule availability. Local promotion may apply. Length of service can vary based on skin assessment and products used.
Hey, could you tell me what aisle your car batteries are in?
Sure, I'll go grab one for you. Here's your battery. It might be expired, but oh well. Also, the brand isn't that great, but it should work for at least a year or two, maybe. Anyways, I went ahead and charged you for it, and here's the battery. Okay, have a great day.
What just happened?
Sometimes good things are hard to find, but they're worth the wait. Make the trip out to Interstate All Battery Center at 2504 North Madison Avenue and get all of your battery needs taken care of by the trusted professionals. Give them a call today at 355-4855.
Hi, this is Chris Jackson with Kramer Siding and Window. And whatever your project, you can count on Kramer Siding to offer you the best products backed by the best warranties in the business and a lifetime of great customer service. And right now, you can save 10% on roofing, sunrooms, and decks, get 15% off gutter helmet, and you can save 25% on preservation siding, windows, and doors. So call today or visit us at kramersiding.com and let's get started on your project.
Crossroads Contractor Supply, bringing us our Stevie J Broadcasting Law Enforcement Official of the Month.
Patrol Lieutenant, Champaign County Sheriff's Department, our Law Enforcement Official of the Month, Tony Shaw. I think doing a great job. We have crime. It appears shootings more often than ever, and I think I blame totally the effort to defund the police, the effort to disrespect the police. I think there's mental illness after COVID and things like that. Are you seeing a little more of that?
Yeah, so crime's definitely on the rise, and I think there is a correlation there. I am encouraged by the applicants that we are getting and those that are entering the field now. They're very dedicated to what they do, and they're entering at a time that is difficult, and they understand that, and they go into that willingly. And they can always reach out. In fact, I encourage it. When we do get some of our applicants, quite honestly, one of the biggest sales points is the ride-along and the bond that we have amongst the deputies. And so the deputies really deserve all the credit.
Crossroads Contractor Supply, delivering within a 150-mile radius of Champaign-Urbana, supporting our Law Enforcement Official of the Month.
PDR Automotive in Urbana has been providing quality auto repair service for almost 50 years. Trusted by AAA Motor Club, PDR employs ASE-certified technicians that use the latest in diagnostic equipment. They offer nationwide warranties and are even authorized to perform vehicle maintenance that won't void your factory warranty. Check them out 24/7 online at pdrauto.com. When you turn the key and the car won't run, call 367-9481. They are what's best for your truck or car. They are PDR.
Sure, we offer push-button mortgage applications, but when it comes to getting the money for the house of your dreams, we offer something far more advanced, and we call her Brenda. A real person who knows you better than any app and works hard to make things simple, cutting through red tape, meeting you outside the office, and in between life's busy moments. For a great rate and a great deal, call Brenda at Iroquois Federal Champaign and let her help you get home. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender, NMLS number 472172.
Prairie Gardens' famous Christmas clearance sale is going on now. Save on all the cool Christmas decor you really wanted. Ornaments and Christmas accents are up to 60% off. Up to 60% off Christmas trees, wreaths, and garlands. Save 50 to 60% on Christmas cards, candles, ribbon, and Christmas florals. Hurry in for the best selection and the greatest savings. Prairie Gardens' famous Christmas clearance sale. Going on now. Springfield and Duncan, Champaign.
Ring in the new year at Pia's with me, Diane Ducey, as your DJ with prizes, watching the ball drop in New York City with the countdown, party favors, and champagne. They're known for their drink specials at Pia's, plus the great food and party atmosphere. It'll be awesome saying bye-bye to 2022 and hello to 2023 with your friends at Pia's Sports Bar and Grill. No cover, no need to get fancy, just have fun. Pia's, 1609 West Springfield Avenue for New Year's Eve.
Hey, Illini fans, it's Mike Greenberg. Catch Lon, Tay, and Derek Piper weekdays from 4 to 6 right here on ESPN Radio 93.5.
My buddy Todd just said the freshman guard's inconsistent on both ends. giving up 51.5. Hell, we were making fun of Iowa for giving up 55 to Eastern in a half. I mean,
it's a little bit different.
No.
But still, yes.
It totally is
pretty
different.
bad.
Yeah, the opponent, obviously, but yeah, that's still pretty bad.
Mizzou attacked the heck out of Sky.
They played great. Oh, yeah, they did. You and I were just talking about that with Sky and those guys. And, yeah, I mean, it's taken a little bit longer than I thought for a guy like Sky and some of these to kind of get rolling.
It's tough for a guy to come off of a major injury, the ACL. He barely played last year for Mount Verde. And then it was interesting, and I understand maybe he came back a little too soon or maybe he had more rehab to go. He tore his ACL in the spring of the AAU, then missed about 8 months, returned for Mount Verde in January, only played like a handful of games, then was out again, didn't play in the Nationals, and was not fully cleared until the very end of this summer for Illinois. So he just hasn't had a lot of time to play.
Right.
So there's the one thing as far as development and being someone that, yes, is highly regarded coming out of high school, but you're supposed to be their starting point guard, and you just haven't played a whole lot of basketball here recently.
No.
And then also, like, the physical part of it, is he 100%? Explosiveness-wise, pre-injury, no, he's not. I know that he's even slowed down a little bit, and he's gotten stronger, but some would argue it slowed him down some. He's having a hard time getting by people.
Yeah,
and I
agree.
think as a spot-up shooter, he can do that perfectly fine. We've seen him have nice games as far as, kick out to Sky and he hits threes. But getting into the lane and breaking things down, there's been a lot to be desired there. And then defensively, Mizzou just went at him a lot. They kind of – it was recognizing a mismatch or recognizing a weak link and just saying, we're going to go at you as a freshman, and they had a good amount of success with it.
Illinois' defense was horrible.
Awful.
I mean, how many points in the lane did Missouri have? How many what was the final score? I mean, I don't even know what the final score was.
It was 93-71.
I bet 60 of those were in the lane.
I know they had 42 points in the paint.
Okay.
33 points off of turnovers.
Oh, my.
And a bunch of transition points that kind of go hand in hand with turnovers. But Illinois' transition defense is terrible.
Horrible.
And they have still a bunch of busted coverages with their switching. I know a lot of people want to see the switching go away.
I hate switching. I've always hated it. If you're not good enough to guard your guy, then go sit on the bench. I mean, I understand that you're not going to stop a guy every time. I get that. You're going to get burned on occasion. But if you need to rely on switching defense, it's one of, you know what? That and defensive holding being an automatic first down in the NFL. Those two things are crap. We need to have a show one day about if you could change one thing about sports, mine would be defensive holding and an automatic first down. Like at teams like 3rd and 15, well, we got a flag. Holding on the defense, automatic first down. I'm like, that's crap.
Targeting.
Yeah. Okay. Speaking of that,
automatic ejection for targeting.
The boys and I were just talking about that. Did you hardly? I didn't see much targeting this year in college.
Not as much.
I feel like
at least for Illinois, it didn't really impact them. I saw it around the country still, though.
Okay, because like Illinois didn't have. I don't think they were called for one, were they? Or the first game of the year, I think they were, and then they ruled that it wasn't a target. I'm not sure one guy got a targeting call this year. That's interesting. All right. We got to take another break. Sorry, but we'll be back for another huge segment soon. It is The Drill.
Now, the NIL jersey lineup for your Fighting Illini. Number 55, Sky Clark. Number 15, R.J. Melendez. Number 10, Luke Goody. Number 20, Ty Rogers. Number 0, Terrence Shannon Jr. And number 33, Coleman Hawkins. Get yours at State Farm Center on game day, online or in stores. Game Day Spirit, official fan store of the Fighting Illini.
If you're looking for a new car, go to Sarah Champaign, because at Sarah Subaru, they have over 100 new Subarus available right now, all with symmetrical all-wheel drive. The Subaru Share the Love event is on too. With every new Subaru purchased or leased through January 3rd, Subaru will donate $250 to your choice of charities. Sarah Subaru will also donate an additional $50 to the Champaign County Humane Society right here in our community. Visit Sarah Subaru right off Route 45 in Savoy. You're listening to WSJK ESPN 93.5 Tuscola, Champaign-Urbana, your home for the St. Louis Cardinals.
Hi, y'all. Welcome back to Trucking
The
Lives
U.S.
Matter,
requiring
presented by
COVID
Gail
testing. I'm Marie Corsetti, Fox News. For travelers from China, where there's an ongoing surge of infections.
The requirement will begin January 5th, with all travelers coming from China having to take a COVID test up to 2 days before travel, presenting the results when they board. Japan, India, South Korea, and Malaysia are among the other nations imposing the requirement. China recently ended its zero COVID policies, which, like in America at the pandemic's height, slowed spread but strained the economy. The U.S. has had no COVID restrictions on international travel since June. China was among the first countries at the start of the pandemic where travel was banned. Gernal Scott, Fox News.
Meanwhile, families hoping to catch a Southwest Airlines flight after days of cancellations and missing luggage were faced with even more bad news today. The airline canceled another 2,500 flights, and more cancellations are expected throughout the day. According to the FlightAware tracking service, more than 91% of all canceled flights in the U.S. today were from Southwest, which was hit hard by the winter storms over the weekend. This as the airline's shares have dropped. Stocks closed lower on Wall Street today. The Dow closed down 366 points, the Nasdaq fell 139, and the S&P lost 46. Plus, Border Patrol agents continue to see groups of asylum seekers cross into the U.S. illegally as Texas authorities work to secure the border.
We saw a small group dash across the Rio Grande River, men, women, and some very young children. I asked some of them where they were coming from. They said Cuba. That group was escorted into the country by the National Guard and then processed by Border Patrol and placed on a bus. Also here in Eagle Pass, the National Guard brought in fresh razor wire and installed it on top of cargo containers that were placed along the Rio Grande River just before Christmas.
Fox's Matt Finn. America is listening to Fox News.
The new year is here. Time for a change. Start a recession-resistant new career in the high-demand IT field with My Computer Career. In just months. Already in IT? Build your cybersecurity skills and prep for thousands of open positions employers nationwide are desperate to fill. Attend classes live online or on campus. And financial aid is available to those who qualify, including the GI Bill. Make this your year. Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation today. That's mycomputercareer.edu.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, beat the largest timeshare company in federal court and has put together a free information guide that reveals the secrets the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid of your timeshare. Call now and get this timeshare cancellation guide absolutely free.
Call 800-857-5656. That's 800-857-5656.
Florida's governor is now investigating entertainment venues that allegedly admit children to adult-themed drag performances.
A traveling Christmas show by drag actors performing sexualized and partially nude dances is admitting children to the audience, prompting protests like in Fort Lauderdale and Miami. Now Florida Governor Ron DeSantis is directing the state's Department of Business and Professional Regulation to investigate if, by admitting kids, venues like the Broward Performing Arts Center should lose their liquor licenses. The show is scheduled to perform in Orlando tonight. That venue's website says all ages are welcome, but Thursday's scheduled performance at Clearwater's Ruth Eckerd Hall is now admitting only 18 and up. In Broward County, Florida, Eben Brown, Fox News.
Meanwhile, a Delaware trucker described as the architect behind the plan to kidnap Michigan's governor has been sentenced to more than 19 years in prison. The sentence is the longest yet given to anyone convicted in the plot. The judge described 47-year-old Barry Croft Jr. as the idea guy and called him a very convincing communicator. Croft is the 4th and final federal defendant in the case. Plus, a disgraced comedian could be returning to the stage next year.
Bill Cosby plans on heading out on a tour in the coming year. The controversial comedian, in a radio interview on WGH Talk with host Scott Spears, was asked if 2023 was the year he might finally be able to tour again, to which he replied yes. The now 85-year-old comedian was convicted in Pennsylvania in 2018 of criminal sexual assault, but was released in 2021 after his conviction was overturned by the state Supreme Court. Cosby told Spears, "When I come out of this, I feel like I will be able to perform and be the Bill Cosby that my audience knows me to be." Cosby's rep told Variety the tour will most likely kick off in the spring.
Fox's Michelle Polino, I'm Marie Corsetti, and this is Fox News.
Ignition sequence start. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Liftoff.
Check. I literally just create madness.
Well, they're up.
I'm going to go off here.
They don't have a great quarterback.
I got to take a break. I'm getting in trouble.
To win the Big Ten, you first got to win the West.
Bad Bunny. Have you heard his name in a while?
No.
Has it bothered you?
No. Defensively, they got to come in with some confidence.
Is that even analytics?
I'm in a parking garage, kind of lost.
Terrence Shannon, Matthew Meyer, R.J. Melendez, Coleman Hawkins.
These trophy presentations aren't over! I didn't come here to go 5-7.
I'm so proud of Illinois football right now. I'm so tired of Joel Embiid.
We're not taking Patrick Corbin.
I want to bet the Bears.
Oh.
You are Reba McEntire's niece.
Roshan Russell.
Coach Bielma.
You no longer get a salute to yourself.
What? We got all kinds of things for you here.
There's a lot of glass.
Oh.
Guys, we have breaking news.
Uh-oh.
It's the Drive.
Smack no. Oh, yeah. You think anybody missed us?
I hope so.
I did get some texts from people like, are you guys ever working again? Come on. Now, they were, of course, giving us grief, as we all deserve, I'm sure. Derek had a good Christmas. You and Haley. Did you wow Haley with a couple of gifts? Or were you like every other guy and you're just really unspectacular when it comes to gifts?
Pretty much like every other guy. Yeah.
Think about how many things you could buy your wife. Like, seriously, think about all of the stuff in this world. And yet, when you narrow it down to what you're going to buy your spouse, you sit there and you literally hit like a brick wall. You're like, well, I guess I could get her a shirt, but she's got a lot of shirts, and I don't know what size she is, and I don't want to get the wrong size. Or I guess we could do that. I mean, massages, those are always good.
Yep.
Why don't we do more massages?
I don't know.
Have you ever had a full body massage?
I've never had one.
It is incredible. It's incredible. I mean, it's truly, you leave the massage saying, why do I only do that once a year or twice a year? Like, what? Why do I go spend $80, eating out or drinking or whatever, pick something, and not just go and benefit myself with an hour massage? I had an hour and a half massage one time. And I fell asleep like 3 times. I was like, oh, my goodness. You've got to do that for yourself one day.
I should. With Haley, it was pretty much she told me what to get her.
Yeah, that's
And then
good.
I just was like, all right, take care of it.
See, and I'm okay with that.
As far as some of the spontaneous, I had 1 or 2 spontaneous buys, like didn't tell her what it was going to be. I got her like this Mama Bear shirt, and she loved that.
That's
and
cool.
I stopped by game day. Can never go wrong with that.
Hell no. That's where you give the gift that keeps on giving. Like, give her like one of those bracelets that every year you buy a new thing to add to it. So now you've already what you're getting her next year, plus something else, right? I mean, yeah, that's good. That's good. Now, and I'm sure she probably loaded up for you. Yeah.
Got me some new boots.
Nice.
I
need boots.
Yeah.
That's good. Well, look, I was down at my office in Villa Grove, and I walked across the street to do my shopping at the bank. And I realized I don't have stockings for my boys. So I went out and bought a bunch of candy, and I bought a bunch of scratch-offs. And by the way, state of Illinois, you're pathetic with your scratch-offs. I've asked probably 20 people, point blank, like, do you do scratch-offs for Christmas?
I got one from my in-laws. I did not win.
See? I mean, well, I don't care. I spent $100, $50 on each kid. Scratch-offs. You know what we won? $48. So I lost 52 out of that.
Better than you saying 2.
Well, that's true.
But still.
That is a good point. I asked the boys as they were scratching them, I'm like, and nobody was winning. Like, Lucas always does better for some reason. Obviously, it's all luck, right? And I just kept telling Andrew, I'm like, you are horrible at the scratch-off game. And he's like, I know, for real. He got a speaker, by the way, that's the size of this board. And he started turning it real loud. I'm like, okay, that's good. I'm like, why do you need something that loud? Anyway, it's pretty cool. But anyway, I was like, would you guys just rather have $50 extra next year? And to their credit, they're both like, no, this is fun. We like the scratch off. So, all right, another one bites the dust with the bowl game because I said 99% Chase Brown will play in this game, and he's not. And we went through this last week, whether you like it or not.
Did you send a text to Chase saying,
how
are you going to look bad? Make me look bad on the radio type thing?
No doubt.
Yeah.
I was thinking we would maybe try to get him on before the bowl game, but I don't think that's going to happen. I mean, now he ought to be able to do an interview every day.
Sure.
But I don't know. That's out of my control. Can I go off on something real quick?
Go ahead.
And I'm sure there's reasons for this, so this is just another little rant from Lon. But it really, really angered me. So Ryan Walters gets the job at Purdue, and that's great. You can't fault a guy for taking a head coaching job. He went from $1 million to $5 million. Great move. Kevin Kane was point blank told, you're not going to be the defensive coordinator, and he then jumped ship with Walters to take over the defensive coordinator. Absolutely fine.
Yep.
Why? What is Corey Patterson doing? Where's the loyalty out of Corey Patterson? Now, again, I could be dead wrong here. It could be Bielema didn't want him. Could be that he's making a lot more money at Purdue. They maybe gave him an associate title or I don't even know. Maybe they did that. I might be speaking, and people are like, Lon, did you not hear? But I sat there and I thought to myself, Illinois hired him out of high school, and then keep in mind there was a coaching change. And he stayed on. Like Brett Bielema was very loyal to Corey Patterson when normally every assistant is gone. And then all of a sudden at the first chance, Patterson's like, hey, thanks for everything you did, Illinois and Coach B. I'm out. I didn't like that. Now, again, there's probably 1,000 reasons why it happened.
Right. No, that's a good point. I think that it is worth questioning, especially if he's going to stay in the same position group. I don't think he is. I think he's switching to receiver, right? Receiver coach, Purdue, knowing how much they throw the ball. That could help him in terms of upward mobility. Maybe he sees Purdue as a chance to progress into an offensive coordinator, or maybe he is going to make more money if he is going to get slapped with the associate head coach tag.
And that very, very well may be what happened.
That may be a bigger chance for more responsibilities, more money.
Right.
But yeah, I get it. Where he wasn't even in the college coaching game, Illinois brings him in. Now the big part of that trade-off was getting Isaiah Williams, getting guys from Trinity Catholic. Now we're all scratching our heads why Shimon Cooper hasn't panned out, but I understand why you get what's going on there.
Right.
And that's just where the initial domino of Ryan making the move, you're like, okay, yep, he's supposed to do that. He's supposed to go take the Purdue job. If any of us were asked, would you want to make 5 times what you're making, even though you're going to be a direct competitor of where you've been, you're going to take that job.
Exactly. In a heartbeat.
Anybody's going to do that.
Yeah, exactly.
And then Kevin Kane, as you explained, now there's just more of the trickle-down effect of, and Corey Patterson's going too. Hudson Card, who we wanted to get as a quarterback transfer, is going to go to Purdue instead of Illinois. Now it's just kind of like.
And that Harkless kid or whatever, that big defensive lineman, he's not going to Purdue.
Yeah. It's kind of like, really?
I know.
Now this is just.
Now it's not cute anymore.
No, now this kind of stinks.
Now I want to beat Purdue's butt. I'm with you. I was happy for Coach Walters, but now I'm like, I'm not happy for you anymore. You're a boiler up guy.
Yeah, that's a good hire, though.
No, it really is.
Another interesting part on the Big Ten West. Did you see Luke Fickell was coaching Wisconsin last night?
It was weird.
I don't think I've ever seen that, where a guy gets hired and then coaches the team in the bowl game.
It was weird. And he's pulling in studs right now. His class, whew, there's something about him. I don't know. First time I ever saw Luke Fickell, I'm like, I bet that dude cheats crazy. Now
he's an Urban guy, right? Urban Meyer dude.
Yeah.
And there you go.
I think they were doing that before. Hey, that'll take me into something. I think that'll take me into something here. NIL money. So today, Brett Bielema was on the Rich Eisen show, but not with Rich. It was another guy hosting it. And they were just talking about, in general, college football, not specific to Illinois or anything. But, Brett, there's a couple of these guys, namely Johnny Newton and Keith Randolph, the law firm, that you would love to have back next season. They were unbelievable. Now, we've all along said that Johnny Newton, I feel like, has done what he needed to do, and he should go to the NFL. Keith Randolph could maybe come back and help his status.
We even asked Jay about it right before the break. Jay said it'd be hard for Johnny to have a more productive season for a guy that's fairly undersized, decently undersized for someone in the middle of that defensive line, that it might be a situation where your stock's never higher. Why don't you just go?
Mm-hmm. I agree. So, but this NIL now puts a whole new spin on things. And I want you to, this is about a minute long, but at the end, I really want you to pay attention to what Bielema said. It almost alludes to me like we got a legit shot maybe at getting those two guys back.
Once a player's on campus and a part of your squad, then it is, there are some guys in our program now that, are looking at opportunities whether they want to stay here or go to the NFL. And obviously if an NIL can sustain something that will allow them to stay in school for another year and get drafted higher and incorporate more money for them by just staying in school, that's what I think is the great part of NIL. But, yeah, I think there's a little bit of it's the wild, wild west out there. And for every school, everybody's got a different angle. And, then the other factor is you hear things and you don't know if kids are making them up either. You know what I mean? There's not a lot of people out there investigating it. And as we all know, sometimes young men can fabricate some things to try and get more. So, fortunately for us at Illinois, there is good NIL money out there. There's been some things happening for our guys. People are reaching out for the right things. We have two defensive tackles who I think could be two of the best in college football, and especially if they return for next year. And they simply, Newton and Randolph, I called them the law firm one day at a press conference, and lo and behold, they got an NIL deal out of it, catapulted them into a partnership, and then true beneficiary of that is the Boys and Girls Club got $500 for every sack, and they had quite a few sacks this year and pressures, so it was a great way to use the NIL to better our community.
Well, there you go. So I don't know. Maybe I'm reading too much into it.
I don't think you are.
Okay. I like that. You almost said that like you know something. Inquiring minds want to know.
Inquiring. There you go.
Oh, yeah. Did you know that was on a show? What was the show? Somebody has to text in. Inquiring minds want to know. It was a TV show back in the day. I asked you today if you knew who George Gervin was, the Iceman.
I know who he is. I haven't really seen him play that much.
He was a stud. All right, before we get to Tommy DeVito today and talk a little bit more about Chase Brown, I happened across Zach Arnett, who's the Mississippi State football coach, and I actually sat down today for your listening pleasure and listened to 8 minutes of Zach Arnett, wondering if he'd say anything about Illinois or the game. And he had a lot to say about, obviously Mike Leach and, they're going to go down and try to win a game for Coach Leach, and which is very cool. And at the very end, though, they asked Arnett what he knows about Illinois and if he knows Brett Bielema. But I loved what he said in this soundbite. And if you're one of those that was as mad as me and Jay, and I know you were mad too, about some of the officiating that occurred this year, Jay told the story about the Rose Bowl flag. You weren't here for that one, where mysteriously teams like Michigan and Ohio State get the old flag thrown on the other team, and you're like, what? And one of the coaches was like, oh, yeah, that's the Rose Bowl flag. So you'll love what this coach, Zach Arnett, said about that. Here he is.
I've met Coach Bielema when we got to go do the contract signing ceremony. This is a fabulous football team. I think they finished with the same record as us. All right. I actually think I'm allowed to do that. I don't think I'm allowed to criticize SEC officiating. I think if I criticize other conference officiating, I don't think I get fined for that. But there's a team playing in the national semifinals who Illinois is up 17-16, got them 4th and 2, and what is a pretty obvious offensive pass interference on the unnamed team, right? That doesn't get called. They go on to convert a first down and kick a field goal to go ahead. And so I really think they're a 9-win football team, Illinois. Obviously, Coach Bielema's been head coach a long time. His team is like every other team he's ever had. They're well coached, they're physical, they play the game the right way in all three phases. They don't beat themselves. They got a say in how this outcome of this game goes too, and they're going to show up prepared and ready to go.
He's a tapper.
We are honored and privileged to share the field with them.
Zach Arnett's one of those, he taps the table as he's talking, I liked that.
I wonder if he's been on Family Feud. You got to have that quick reflex. Hit down.
I had relations Some of my family, in other words, my cousins were on that show.
Is that right?
I think they won.
Really?
Yeah, I think they won.
It's awesome.
Yeah. But anyway, did you know who's Breaking Bad? What was the guy's name? Jesse. Is it Dane Paul or something like that? Did you know he was on Family Feud?
Mm-mm.
And in the showcase at the end, he was like $300 heavy from winning it all. You can pull it up on YouTube. I was going down a rabbit hole one day and saw that. But anyway, back to Zach Arnett. I kind of liked what he said there.
He's endearing himself to the Illini fan base. Now, everyone has, a lot of them, as far as coaches, do a great job of buttering up the opponent. And
sure.
That way, when number one, you get the attention of your team.
Yeah.
This is a really good team. We got to have to be locked in, focused, everything. Then you beat them, makes it sound better for your team. But I think there's just natural respect there. Illinois is a team that when you watch, if you had no knowledge of them, you're sitting in the SEC, you flip them on tape, and that is a team that, like he said, physical, can really ground and pound you. Great defense, one of the best out there. And, the shot about Michigan.
That was beautiful.
It's a really good one.
Well, let me tell you, I honestly don't have any knowledge about this Illinois team now because nobody's playing for them.
Here we go. I'm with you on
why is Chase not playing? You know what I told you? Yeah, and then I'll let you talk then. I'll shut up. How about Chase? How about opening kickoff? You come out. Not in the kickoff, but you come out first drive of the game. See how it goes. Maybe you break your first run for 28 yards. Now all of a sudden you're halfway to setting the school record, or you're halfway to leading all Power 5 running backs in the nation in yards. Or let's say the first drive he goes 3 carries for 2 yards. I'll be done with it. Just say, all right, I'm out. I don't get it.
He's had a huge workload this year.
He has.
And there was been even conversations late in the year, is he's getting too many carries.
Mm-hmm.
Is it going to wear on him? Is it going to be something that hurts Illinois down the stretch of this season? And a running back gets hit almost on every play. For as much as you're going to hand him the ball, and there's a lot of those guys can dive at your knees and everything, and it's a dangerous position to play. And the toll of a running back, we're seeing it more and more. I mean, it's not even like a newfound type of research that's saying, oh, did you know that running backs don't have a very long shelf life?
Right,
like
4 years.
We've known this now, and we've seen it play out in the pros. So for him to say one extra game, one bad, as far as one hit, one tweak of the knee, anything could really hurt him as far as the next level and what he would get, that first paycheck, that first draft position and everything. So I understand that. It's just frustrating now. It's kind of on a case-by-case basis. You can go Devin Witherspoon, first-round pick, maybe second at worst.
Yeah.
I understand.
Totally.
Sidney Brown, maybe I don't understand that one as much.
I don't either.
And just one guy that's given a lot and gotten you there, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
Chase, and then you start adding them up, and some of your best players aren't playing in the game. And Illinois hasn't played in a big bowl game, hasn't really played in very many bowl games, period.
No.
Why is this not more important?
Right.
And maybe it's me as someone that hasn't watched their team in a bowl game enough. Maybe I should be checking in with Iowa. What's it like to win 8 games every year? Go to almost the same bowl game, maybe the same status for bowl games. You kind of alternate and flip. We did Capital One year. Then we ventured over to the Outback, and we hit Nashville one time, but then we go back to the Outback for 3 years.
Yeah.
What's that like?
Mm-hmm.
Is it? Are you not supposed to care about the game as much? Does it take away of the? Yeah, it's more of the. We hit this bowl game. We enjoyed ourselves.
Yeah.
The fans got to go down there in the sun, and did we try to win the game? Yes, but the actual result didn't matter as much. Because you kind of get schooled in your head of like, this should be one of the biggest games of the season.
Right.
And now it's hard to get that excited for it when these name players, your best players, aren't going to play in it. You hear Mississippi State is having, I know this is an exaggeration, but a third of their roster maybe in the transfer portal.
Yeah.
Like, what's happening to bowl games?
Right.
Where's the future of bowl games? And with the way the calendar sets up for guys to hit the portal, for guys to decide they're going to stay in the draft, I just think the quality of these games and the quality of what is supposed to be these hyped up big games, I'm kind of sitting there like saying, what's the future of this?
It's true because games during the season, every game matters to get to a bowl game or to win a West championship. But let's be honest. For Illinois, all we've cared about for the last 10 years is just get to a bowl game. Let's be honest. So when you think about it, the irony of every game you play during a season matters to the end goal of getting to a bowl game. Then you get to the bowl game, and that game doesn't matter. It's like a there's a word for that, like a riddle almost. Like okay, you play your butt off to get to a bowl game then that bowl game doesn't matter. So why did you play your butt off to get to the bowl game? It is a weird. It's a very strange. I mean, because I told you that I said, well, I mean, am I excited about playing in this bowl game? Yeah. Will it be awesome to see Illinois run out on Raymond James Stadium, or if you're at home watching on TV? By the way, it's on ESPN2. I think this game is the only game left that's on ESPN2. Not that matters. Oh, and by the way, about the portal. So Lucas, my oldest, asked me a question. Who's the starting quarterback for Michigan? Is it J.J.
McCarthy.
Cade McNamara, the backup, is entering the portal, and he's going to Iowa.
Yes.
So the question Lucas posed to me was, can McNamara, let's say Michigan beats, who are they playing?
They are playing
TCU, right?
Yes.
Let's say they beat TCU, and in the fourth quarter, McCarthy's lost for the year with a broken hand. Can Cade McNamara then play in that game? And so I texted Kent Brown, the awesome SID, and I said, not specific to that question, but I said, what happens if a player goes into the portal? Can they then play a game for that team still? And Kent's response was it would be up to the coach. So wouldn't it be interesting if McCarthy got hurt, they made the national championship game, and then Harbaugh had McNamara start the championship game, who essentially is the quarterback at Iowa now?
Yeah.
That's how weird college sports is now. It's really weird.
But I don't think it would ever happen.
I don't think it would either.
I think as soon as a guy
clean your
hits
hands.
the portal and especially commits to another Big Ten school or just anywhere else, decides they're out and they're going somewhere else, that might be different if that quarterback said, I'm in the portal, but I haven't chosen where I'm going yet.
Okay.
Maybe it would. Maybe it wouldn't. But I think there's even a clause out there that if once you hit the portal, the team that you're on no longer has to honor any kind of like scholarship past that next semester or anything.
You think Harbaugh even remembered that he was in the portal and left? I mean, he's probably like, where's McNamara? Coach, he went to Iowa. Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right. So who do we have now? Well, we're talking about guys that aren't playing. The one guy that is going to play for sure, and he knew it all along, was your quarterback, Tommy DeVito.
We want it to be better, but, it's a huge thing to be able to get 9 wins as a team. If we just go out, put more tape on, put more stuff on film, just play football. I mean, this is the game I love. This is what I come here to do, and I just can't wait for the opportunity ahead.
What was that process like for you to, figure out whether or not you wanted to play and then just get to the practices and get kind of hyped up for this thing?
Yeah, for me, there was no question. I was 100% playing. Unless the whole entire O-line opted out, that might have been the only time where I would have been like, well, Coach B, what are we doing? But besides that, I was playing the whole way. I've been excited for it. We've had obviously some downtime. Coach has given us time to just relax, decompress from a long season. So now just getting everything fired back up, knocking a little bit of the Christmas rust off, all the food that everyone's been eating.
Oh, boy.
Getting ready to play here in a couple days.
That's not Christmas food for me. That's COVID on. That's 30 pounds on from COVID.
Man.
A lot of people saw COVID and said, well, I'll show you. I'll go start walking every day. And they did, and kudos to them. And I was the guy sitting in my chair watching TV, watching them walk, going, hey, good for them. They're out walking. Crap.
Yeah.
Hey, speaking of food, Donnie, our buddy at Long Branch, he wanted us to remind everybody that they will be open at 4 p.m. on New Year's Eve. That's Saturday, right? 4 p.m. on New Year's Eve. They're doing his prime rib special, of course, and New York strip, as well as the rest of the menu. So the Long Branch Steakhouse in Gifford, you know it well. If you're one of those that have heard about it now for about 3 years and you've never gone over, believe me, it's worth going over. I I got the ribs one time, and they were some of the best ribs I've ever had. They were so good. But his prime ribs are incredible. I know you've eaten there, obviously. So you just got to check it out. But, again, they'll be open at 4 o'clock on New Year's Eve doing prime rib, New York strip, and the rest of the menu. So check that out.
Making me hungry.
Yeah, it is, right? I mean, that is. All right, so we went all Illinois basketball in the first hour. Then we wanted to kind of break it up and do a little football here. But when we come back, I want to play some of these Brad Underwood and Terrence Shannon clips from the game against Missouri, which you noted was like a week ago, which is weird. But I just thought it was compelling. Like, I listened to the entire press conference, and I was like, wow, okay, wow. And, you know, we talked in the first hour. I got a little mad because I'm worried. And we touched the base on how it just, you said it, you caused a stir. You said the vibe is off. And that kind of made a few people question, is that true? Well, I think it's pretty obvious. So when we come back, we'll hear from Brad Underwood, also Terrence Shannon, after their loss to Missouri. When is the Bethune-Cookman game?
Tomorrow.
Oh, it is tomorrow. Okay. Brad met you and the rest of the media today. Well, not the rest. Some of them are.
It's pretty much just me. No,
I was going to say.
There were a handful of us.
The rest of them are basking in the sun right now in Tampa. But he met with some of the media today, and we're going to play some of that tomorrow. I know Brett Bielema and Zach Arnett also meet with the media tomorrow as well down in Tampa. So we'll hear from Brett tomorrow, have some fresh stuff on that. We'll try to get a little bit more nitty-gritty with this game, Illinois and Mississippi State. We'll try to figure out who's going to play.
I was going to say, we'll have to dig up who's available for Mississippi State, and I think we know as far as Illinois goes. But
Yeah, you're right. I mean, it's crazy. But we'll try to do all that tomorrow. We will be off again Friday and Monday, and we apologize, but we're just...
Yeah, do we?
It's the holidays. Happy holidays. We did have snow on Christmas, so there you go. We just didn't need the negative 30.
That was crazy.
And then today's like 50. It's going to be like 60-some degrees this week. And we wonder why we're sick. I mean, that's 100 degrees. I mean, we've literally almost gone 100 degrees in one. Only in the Midwest, baby. At least we don't get hurricanes. We're back.
You spend half of your life indoors. That's half of your life underneath your roof. Who do you trust to keep you safe and dry underneath it? The name to remember is Roof Doctors. Roof Doctors understands the harsh weather conditions that your roof endures because they're a family and locally owned business. From your community, for your community, the doctors who make the house calls, Roof Doctors, at roofdoctors.com or phone 328-7529. Rest easy under a roof that's been treated by Roof Doctors.
If you're looking for a new car, go to Sarah Champaign because at Sarah Subaru, they have over 100 new Subarus available right now, all with symmetrical all-wheel drive. The Subaru Share the Love event is on too. With every new Subaru purchased or leased through January 3rd, Subaru will donate $250 to your choice of charities. Sarah Subaru will also donate an additional $50 to the Champaign County Humane Society right here in our community. Visit Sarah Subaru right off Route 45 in Savoy.
Prairie Gardens' famous Christmas clearance sale is going on now. Save on all the cool Christmas decor you really wanted. Ornaments and Christmas accents are up to 60% off. Up to 60% off Christmas trees, wreaths, and garlands. Save 50 to 60% on Christmas cards, candles, ribbon, and Christmas florals. Hurry in for the best selection and the greatest savings. Prairie Gardens' famous Christmas clearance sale. Going on now. Springfield and Duncan, Champaign.
PDR Automotive in Urbana has been providing quality auto repair service for almost 50 years. Trusted by AAA Motor Club, PDR employs ASE certified technicians that use the latest in diagnostic equipment. They offer nationwide warranties and are even authorized to perform vehicle maintenance that won't void your factory warranty. Check them out 24/7 online at pdrauto.com. When you turn the key and the car won't run, call 367-9481. They are what's best for your truck or car. They are PDR.
Norm Miller here, chairman of Interstate Batteries. You know, without batteries, life would be pretty lifeless. That's why Interstate All Battery Centers carry them in every size, shape, and style so you can drive, drill, call, film, or do whatever it is you want to do. Stop in today. They've got the power to keep you going. Interstate All Battery Center. Outrageously dependable.
Interstate All Battery Center. You'll find them outrageously dependable just over Interstate 74 at 2504 North Mattis Avenue in Champaign, with batteries for most every application in stock.
Switching is easy. We do it all the time. We switch on the lights. We switch TV channels. Some of us switch partners while square dancing. Well, that's a stretch. But what's not a stretch is how you can switch and save with State Farm. In fact, State Farm agent Kurt Lenschow right here in Champaign-Urbana can switch you over so you can start saving today. Kurt and his team are ready to welcome you to the State Farm neighborhood. It's easy to switch and save. Just give them a call when you want the real deal. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Hey, Illini fans, it's Georgia B and Stevie J Broadcasting, and you are listening to the amazing ESPN Radio 93.5.
I thought that was funny.
I think it was.
I mean, I think we have a different sense of humor than they do. Hold on. Oh, yeah, I love that. Okay, Derek, first of all, how was the trip to Missouri, and how many days were you there?
I was only there one night, fortunately.
So the blizzard of the century just never really got that bad. It did get cold.
It got really cold, very windy.
Yeah.
The snow, as far as not getting more than 2 or 3 inches, was good.
That helped.
And I beat the worst of it in terms of getting down there. Left early.
Okay.
Took everybody's advice.
Yeah.
And it started to really get slick and dicey there, middle of the afternoon, as far as getting to St. Louis. But when you're staying at, what was it? Hampton at the Arch, and you look out your window and you can barely see the Arch because it's so snowy and foggy. Then you're like, yeah, the weather's not too good.
No.
Joey and I walked to our lunch spot, which was pretty dumb, but we made it.
Where did you eat?
Just down. We were by the landing. Next to. We didn't go to Spaghetti Factory. We went to some wings. Or no, the wing spot was closed.
Spaghetti Factory is like the only thing open right now in the landing, isn't it?
Yeah. I think we ended up we went to a Mexican restaurant.
Okay. You didn't hit the boat?
I got to.
Oh.
I will derail this.
It's not really a boat, obviously.
No, not a log, not in the sense you think I meant.
I don't have a log, not in the sense you think
I went to what used to be the Lumiere, but now the Horseshoe Casino.
Oh, I didn't know it changed.
And I almost didn't get let in it's a long story, but kind of a funny one.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, we got 40. No,
so,
we don't.
If you want to go long story short, the guy at the check-in let Joey in, no problem. Checked his ID. Yep, he goes in. Well, he took a little bit longer checking mine. He ran it, then looked at it real long, ran it again, asked me to take my hat off.
Oh my!
Took a flashlight from his desk without any warning. It was all in one swift motion. Picks it up from the desk. Picks it up, clicks it, shines it right in my eyes.
This dude really likes his job.
I mean, man, right in the eyeballs.
Oh my!
I'm like, oh yeah. And then he goes, "Can you sign your name for me a couple times?"
Are you kidding me?
Please.
Do you not look anything like your ID?
I don't know. And I did that, and I kind of just gave the whole, I just turned 32. And
I'd be pissed.
He's looking at me more, and he's like, this just doesn't look like you.
Oh my Lord.
So, do you have any more ID? No, I don't. Here's my bank and my credit cards, though, and they got my name on them. He looks at it. He's like, all right, I guess that works.
Oh, my goodness.
Then he goes, how much weight did you lose?
Well, that'd be the other way for me. Like, he'd be like, this doesn't look like you.
I don't think I lost that much
weight. This thing says 205.
Yeah. So that was my experience.
What? Let's have him on the show.
I didn't win at blackjack, so I almost kind of wish he would have kept me out.
Exactly. That may have been the best thing that could have ever happened to you.
Brett Behrens had a little bit more luck.
Ooh.
Him and Derek Burson on the craps tables.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, they were good.
Let's call the casino and see if that guy can join our radio show. And I'm going to say, I'm Lon Tay, and my my co-host is Derek Piper. Does that name ring a bell? And he'll be like, We can ask him how good he is at his job.
The whole thing.
Let's play some Brad Underwood to close this out.
Do it.
This was his opening statement. Not good.
Tons of credit to Missouri. I was horrible. As a coach, getting these guys prepared, I didn't do a very good job. They out-toughed us. They out-fought us. They took our ball. They out-executed us. Kobe was no doubt the best player on the floor again in this game. 31 and 8, 8 assists. Just no excuse. I've got to be better. I've got to get these guys prepared better. I thought we had a great week of preparation. I was excited and had very little carryover. And it's got a lot of time before January 4th to clean a lot of stuff up in terms of the execution on the offensive side, which is leading to very bad defense and probably the worst defense that any of my teams have ever played. And just mistake after mistake after mistake, and we'll have to look very, very hard at trying to make some changes on that side. But you can't take 31 threes and win, that's pretty tough pill to swallow. And I love shooting threes, but they've got to be out of a rhythm, and we're making one pass and shooting it, and not trying to run anything and execute anything. And but Missouri deserves all the credit.
Yeah, they do, because they whipped your butt horribly. Now, we're going to play two things from Terrence Shannon. One of them that I'm going to play second is you asking about the offense. Like, where is it? What are we doing? And I'll let you lead into that one.
Yeah.
The first one, basically, Terrence was asked about, you guys have beaten Texas and UCLA, and then yet you look like you did tonight. I mean, what is that all about?
We were tough in those two games. We weren't really, and we were together. We wasn't arguing with each other like during the game or anything.
Oh boy,
that's the big difference that I've seen between those two games and this one.
That's telling.
It is.
That scares me right there. That bite, that sound bite scares the hell out of me.
Yeah. And because there's other examples, you have Meyer publicly calling out Brad for a disagreement over how they should practice. And there's just other indications of disconnect, and that these guys haven't been through the grind of a season before. They haven't figured it out before. Because if Io would have said this after a bragging rights game, me and Trent were yelling at each other. Me and Kofi got into it. You wouldn't worry. You probably wouldn't think about it 1 second.
I wouldn't.
Those guys would iron it out. You knew that Io was a leader, an established one, and that they would be able to get past it. This team, when you have the indications of who's the real leader on this team, how much have these guys experienced together? Not a whole lot. And just kind of the other reference points, that makes you, I wouldn't say overanalyze, but really kind of perk up and say, oh boy, that's another example of some internal
strife.
Yeah, that's going on.
Okay, here's you don't really have to lead into this because I play your question.
Go ahead.
What are you seeing offensively when things aren't getting run as maybe you would hope in terms of running an offense?
We just got to execute. If Coach calls a play or tells us to do something, we got to do it. We haven't been executing offense. It's been stagnant. It's been a lot of isolation ball. And we just got to get better with just running offense, and it's the stuff we practice.
What do you guys want to be able to do offensively? What is the goal of what you're trying to execute out there that's not getting done?
Just make more than one pass, get it three sides, reverse the ball, and just play together. Make the ball have energy, and when it got energy, we'll make shots.
What do you think went wrong? I know Coach talked about the offensive side, leading the defense. What do you think went wrong defensively?
We messed up a lot of switches, especially the flares. We just got to be locked in on defense. We did a good job in practice, but we just got to execute it during the game.
You know what worries me? Like, it's one thing that you're going to have one or two possessions where you defensively break down, and that's the whole game. Like, I told you I hardly even got mad during the game. I was just like flabbergasted, essentially, and shut it off with 8 minutes to play. But the whole game, like, the one thing that I was like yelling at the TV, I'm like, why are we letting them have layups wide open every time?
Yeah.
I understand that Missouri played lights out. That one dude started hitting threes, pulling up, where the hash mark used to be. I am the reason probably that Kobe Brown went off, because I asked our guy that did the interview leading into the game, I said, well, I don't know if you remember this. I point blank said, to me, Kobe Brown's the kind of guy that'll show up to play in this game.
You did say
He's
that.
a senior.
Yep.
And, he went out and destroyed us.
Career high 31.
Unbelievable. But it was just the whole game. Again, I could understand if you had 2 or 3 trips down where you're not switching. I mean, to continuously do it? What are we doing?
The breakdowns were really frustrating, but it's also like, I understand if you're going to have maybe some miscommunications, if you're going to have some stretches where you're not in the right spot, but do it playing hard. Do it playing with aggression. Do it playing show some care in the fact that you're down 10, 20, growing into 35 points. Show that bothers you. I don't think it ever did.
Mm-mm.
And yeah, offensively, your issues just led to Missouri being able to get out and run and transition, which is a big strength for them.
Yeah.
And they were able to get things going. But I think even just watching that offense, Missouri, similar to Penn State, undersized 5, they can space you out. They put 5 guys around the perimeter that can shoot it. It's kind of like what Illinois wants to do offensively.
Right.
They move the ball so much better, play with far more confidence, and they cut really well too. Illinois just, on the flip side, is not doing any of that.
No. I told you, Terrence Shannon has the softest voice, and I'm not making fun of him. And I said to you, he could be like a voiceover on an animated show of think of the sweetest animal you know. I don't know what that would be. Like a lovable kitten or something, or a rabbit,
yeah.
He's got such a sweet voice. It's a nice, pleasant voice. But then
I think he sounds like he could sing some R&B.
Yes.
Like a Brian McKnight.
Oh yeah.
Like if he sings "Baby Girl" to your girl, she's not.
Oh, you're done.
She's not your girl no more.
He's the dude that picks up the mic at karaoke, and the girls are sitting there talking. They're like, blah, and all of a sudden he's standing there like, whoa, who's that?
Mm-hmm.
That's Terrence. I
don't think Terrence would mind us saying that.
No, heck no. He's got to get right. All right, Brad Underwood was asked, Brad, the idea that you've played so well at times, Texas, UCLA, and others, and then to see that, does that bother you even more in the idea that you understand this team shouldn't play like that?
Tons of credit to Missouri.
Nope.
Horrible.
We already played that line. You had a great open, and then you screwed it up.
That's absolutely knowing that we can beat anybody in the country. Absolutely, when we play the right way and we play, but getting this group tough enough and getting this group disciplined enough, that is a direct reflection on the guy sitting right here talking to you right now. And I self-reflect a lot, and there's no excuse for that.
I used to leave the radio station when we first started the show. And we were on the other side of Champaign, on Staley, way up north by Prairie Gardens and stuff. And I had a long drive back to Philo, and I would self-reflect on the show. You've got to stop saying, you've got to stop doing this. Everybody's always made fun of me when I interview people. I'm always like, sure, correct, yes, gotcha. And I'm like, you got to stop doing it. Now I don't ever listen to myself. But Brad is self-reflecting. I wonder if he even watches that game.
I think he did. He mentioned today that he wasn't going to have the team go back and watch it.
Ugh, yuck. I'd watch it until we threw up a shot clock. What was it? What'd you say? The third possession of the game?
Third possession, shot clock violation.
I'd watch the first 3 possessions and be like, that's enough. Shut it off. And then I'd throw a chair across the room or something, just to be really
dramatic. Yeah.
Dramatic, yeah, exactly. Coleman Hawkins has got to get better. If I asked you, Derek, if I gave you the superpower to make one person on this team as good as they can be, who are you choosing?
Probably Coleman.
Okay.
Who are you picking?
I think
Terrence
Coleman
is a good one.
I think Coleman. I think Coleman. Because I feel like even when Shannon hasn't had the best of games, he's still doing stuff.
Right.
And Myers had some iffy games. But Coleman this team can be so good when he's on. And he wasn't against Missouri.
He's a guy who's very talented. He has a lot of ability. We need him shooting shots when he's open. When he's not, we need him passing the ball and not necessarily driving it. That's not his strength. That's what got him in trouble last year. And he's proven last year he could be a lockdown defender. We need him to lead on that side as a veteran. But again, right now there's very little accountability on that side of the ball.
Whew. You think they eat together? Or do they all go to different tables and not even look at each other? You and I talked in the first hour a lot about everything, but we talked about the freshmen and how, Sky Clark is not as good as – not playing, I'm sorry, not as good. I don't mean to say not as good. He's not playing as well as we thought he would be. Mm-hmm. Epps probably about what we thought, I think.
He's had moments of being a little bit better, a little bit more ready than you might anticipate, but then there's been the down.
Does Epps do other things correct besides scoring? Because here's the deal. We as novice fans can get confused by scoring.
Yes.
We can see a guy score 25 points and not see him give up 40.
Right. He's had a good amount of defensive issues. I think he's made some good passes, which kind of the buzz out of the summer was, I don't know how much Illinois wants to put the ball in his hands because he has turnover issues. He maybe doesn't get other guys involved as well. Maybe just more just wired to score right now. I think offensively it's been I had decently high expectations for him. He was kind of my guy in that class. I've been impressed on that end, and then defensively he's made a good amount of mistakes.
That's fair. Well, this is a great soundbite, I think, from Brad. It's about 1:40. It's longer. But he talks about just having to deal with that adversity.
It's a process. I tell everybody, you've got to go, they've never gone through adversity. They've been told they're the greatest things in sliced bread. I love our freshmen. They're really good. But you got to go through it. And when you come out of it, you're always better on the other side. But you got to go through it. And they don't know even what they're going through sometimes. They just know it doesn't feel right. And it's not easy. And, as point guards, Jaden and Sky, and there's a lot of accountability there at that position to lead and talk and communicate. And everything starts with you. And they're going to be fine. I got all the confidence in the world in them. Sincere, I got to keep on the court. Sincere represents everything that I'm trying to be about, and that's play hard and fight and tough and gritty and not give a damn and just go hoop. And, I can live with a mistake when you play as hard as he's playing. And then Ty's been really good. Ty's been giving us a ton. He competes. I didn't think he was great defensively tonight, but they got to go through it, Brad. They got to go through it. And you find out who you are when you look in the mirror when you're dealing with adversity. And our guys have always done that. I've always played freshman. And, Georgie to Trent to Adam to, Kofi and they all went through it. Io sat in my office one day after the Ohio State game in Chicago and cried because he was going through it. And you just got to talk with him. You got to communicate with him and tell him you love him and yet coach him to get better.
There you go. I thought that was a really good soundbite. I was laughing when he said something about Sincere. I'm like, that's a Brad issue in that game. If you're watching that first half, if I'm an assistant coach on that team, I'm looking at Brad saying, hey, Brad, we got to get Sincere in. I don't put Brandon Lieb in. Put Connor Severin. I don't care. Do something other than what we're doing right now. I just don't.
The great things about Sincere, and even Ty's done it recently, I don't think Ty, in terms of effort and toughness, has ever been in question, but those guys will play 100 miles an hour and really give you their all. I mean, Sincere's at a different level. Sincere has been a momentum-swinging type of player this year. So when your team looks lifeless and isn't fighting back, when they're starting to go into this hole, you need to play those guys. The problem is with those two that I mentioned, the lack of offense.
Yes,
when you're kind of sputtering offensively, you need a spark to get back into the game. those guys don't score it all that well. Mm-mm. So I guess that's kind of the push and pull. But Sincere needs to play, and he even said it because of he's going to just give you all-out effort and fly around and be an asset in that regard.
You brought up numbers in the first hour about how Illinois has not played well necessarily in this bragging rights game. And really, it's kind of this time of year. And then they've bounced back. Like when Big Ten play starts or whatever, they just have, the 1 year they won 9 of 10?
They won 9 of 10. They lost in 2019. And that was when they were running spread offense. And then they said, scrap that. We're going to run ball screens. All of a sudden, Io and Kofi's the best pick and roll duo in the country. So they lost that game. They won 9 of their next 10. And then they lost in Columbia the year that Andy Katz flipped it, and they went to Missouri. They lost that game and then won 12 of their next 15. So Brad has had a lot of disappointing losses in this series. He's 2-4 in this game. But his teams here of late have used this kind of as a soul-searching jumping-off point, flip the switch, and we'll see if this team can do it.
Let's hope
starting
it happens.
With tomorrow.
Let's hope it happens again. Derek, you noticed that and asked Brad about it after the game. Last bite from Brad Underwood.
You've had a couple of disappointments here that have been figured out. Anything you can draw upon that you did then that could click?
Yeah, most of the time we've been pretty screwed up coming into this game. It's just the way it's been. I don't know why. The Christmas break, the finals, we've been a train wreck in this game, really all but maybe last year. We weren't great last year. We were dealing with all Kofi's suspensions but Curbelo out, so we've pretty much been a train wreck. And I don't know why. I don't know if it has to do with finals or just coming off 2 Big Ten games. We've played in a lot of big games. That I think has taken a little bit of a toll on this team from a mental standpoint and energy standpoint. But I was hoping to hope we could manage to get through this. We didn't. But we'll take some lessons. We'll refine some things. We got practice time to try to clean it up and get better and build some confidence.
There you go. That is Brad Underwood. We did a lot of that today. Today was what did George Costanza say? Airing of the grievances or whatever. I can't say the word.
Grievances?
Thank you. Maybe that was it. The Festivus. Because I know I got it out. I got it out of my system, which was good. Heard from Tommy DeVito. Not live. None of this was live. Heard from Tommy DeVito about they're down in Tampa, obviously. Zach Arnett, the head coach of Mississippi State, had some good stuff to say about Illinois. And what I mean by good stuff is he's shredded the Big Ten officiating for us. So I'm a big Arnett.
What a guy.
Yeah. NIL is a good bite by Brett Bielema on the NIL. Sounds like it's in good shape right now for Illinois football. And then a lot of talk on that bragging rights game. So tomorrow, Brad also talked today.
He did. So Terrence Shannon as well.
Okay. And Brett will talk tomorrow from Tampa. So tomorrow we'll have fresh sound on all leading you into the Bethune-Cookman game. And then, of course, getting you ready for tomorrow will be our last show before the bowl game. So we'll get a little nitty-gritty on Mississippi State. Is that cool?
Sounds good.
The Cardinals baseball show is next. Now, I'm going to tell everybody, this thing starts at 6 after the hour because you've probably heard us try to play this thing, and there's weird music coming out of the, I don't know, it's weird. But anyway, so if you hear ESPN next, just know that about 6 after the hour, the Cardinals show will be on. It's a really good show.
You're not going to get the Rick Horton 3-minute check. 3 minutes.
3 minutes, stations. The other thing, try to remind me tomorrow to play the Dansby Swanson. Did you hear that clip that he talked about his grandpa?
No.
It's a really cool clip. So remind me tomorrow. I want to play that. Cub fans will love that. And we really haven't talked about him in a Cubs uniform. Maybe we'll touch on that tomorrow as well. So, all right, everybody have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow. It is the Drive.
PDR Automotive in Urbana is a locally owned repair shop, and they've now serviced over 250,000 vehicles in their near 50-year history. Now, that's more than 4 times the size of a sold-out Memorial Stadium. It's more than all Division I athletes in the country combined. That's more than the entire population of Champaign County. That's more than, well, you get the idea. When you turn the key and the car won't run, call 367-9481. They are what's best for your truck or car. They are PDR.
If you're